Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. I have your questions today from twitter.com/AaronRift, so let's go ahead and get started. First one today comes from Paul Jackson. What are your thoughts on Daniel Bryan's comments about WWE's creative team? Well, first of all, Paul, I'm a little bummed out that you do not have the Freddie Mercury avatar. With that being said, I still appreciate you as a NoDQ.com viewer. And to answer your question, let me go ahead and recap it just for those of you that missed it. Daniel Bryan recently did an interview and was asked about possibly facing The Miz at WrestleMania. Bryan said he likes the idea. However, he's not sure if the WWE creative team could pull it off in the sense of having a lengthy storyline and having a proper build-up to that match at WrestleMania. Basically, he doesn't really have confidence in WWE's creative team to keep that feud interesting leading up to WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan is in a very unique situation right now. His contract is coming up September 1st. He has a lot of leverage right now as it comes to getting a new deal because New Japan no doubt would take him and utilize him. Ring of Honor would love to have him. Daniel Bryan could make a ton of money on the indies. He would be a very hot commodity. WWE does not want to lose them. The question is, how much are they willing to pay him? And also, Daniel Bryan has been outspoken in interviews saying that he wants a more limited schedule. He loves wrestling. He obviously fought to get back into the ring for several years. But at the same time, he does have a family. He has a daughter. And I think he wants a balance. He wants to be able to do both. He wants to wrestle, and he also wants to be a family man. Will WWE give him the right offer? That is the big question. I find the interview to be very interesting because most guys would get in trouble. They would be in the doghouse for saying anything negative about the WWE creative team. But Daniel Bryan, he's one of those few guys that can get away with it. He can pretty much say whatever he wants at this point. What are they going to do? Fire him? Bury him? He'll just go work for New Japan. He'll work for Ring of Honor and make a ton of money. And WWE knows this. So they're in a position right now where they have to just take it. Daniel Bryan can basically say what he wants and get away with it. He could say what the fans are thinking. He can say what the wrestlers are thinking. He can just be very outspoken at this point because he has that kind of leverage that most people do not have. Got this one here from DJ Whitey. What's up, Aaron? Have you heard Enzo's Tell-All podcast with Stone Cold? Very interesting breakdown of how it all went down. Do you think that he would have told Vince about the suspicious email? It would have saved his job? That's an interesting question. I think that, well, first of all, I have not heard the podcast. I have read a recap of it, but I have not actually heard the podcast. I have, however, heard other interviews that he has done since being released, so I basically know the story. He claims he did not know about the accusations until everyone else found out, and that's why he did not tell WWE. That's his side of the story. Who knows if that's true or not? Now, I think if he did know and he was upfront, I think at the very least they would have suspended him, but I think they might have still fired him anyways, because if you believe the rumors, the company was not happy with him and they were looking for any reason to get rid of him. And the general belief is that the rape accusations were basically the final straw. And that was the final incident, and WWE decided they had enough, and they decided to cut ties with the guy. So, yeah, it's really hard to say if they would have kept him around or not. Some might argue, well, they put the Cruiserweight title on him. If he really had all that heat, why did they make him a champion? I think they were reluctantly pushing him because the guy's moving merchandise. Let's face it, the guy is a star and he has the charisma, and the company was trying to do something with the cruiserweight division and give it some kind of momentum. So I think it was more of a reluctant push more than anything else. All right, this next one comes from Rollins versus Styles, please. In your opinion, besides the Shield, what has been Seth Rollins' best run in WWE so far? Mine is easily his entire heel run. And he is a hashtag Rollins mark for life, in case you guys were not aware. So I agree with you 100%. I think his best run was that first heel run. From the moment he turned against his Shield brothers using the steel chair and Dean Ambrose's reaction, we were on the way to a very memorable heel run by Seth Rollins. He won Money in the Bank, and then, of course, WrestleMania 31, he cashed in. I was there in Santa Clara. The atmosphere was just amazing. The crowd had a very positive reaction to him winning. There was a positive buzz as people were leaving the stadium. It was a very special moment, very memorable WrestleMania ending as far as I'm concerned. And then he went on to be a top heel. He had his minions, he had his stooges, and he was just having great matches. He had that feud with John Cena, the match at SummerSlam. Unfortunately, it got cut short with his injury, but he had a very solid run as the WWE champion. His babyface run was quite disappointing at first, but the past 6 months or so, he's been red hot again. Time will tell if Rollins can surpass that 2015 run. He won the NoDQ.com Superstar of the Year in both 2014 and 2015. Only a handful of guys have done that twice in the history of the NoDQ.com Year-End Awards. We'll see. He could potentially win it for a third year. We still have 6 months to go. And Rollins, if he can stay as hot as he's been the first 6 months, this could be his best year to date. Got this one here from It's the Costanza. Hey Aaron, do you think Team Hell No would have been more interesting between 1997 and 2003 when Kane had his original mask? No, I think that would have been a big mistake. Why does the Kane Daniel Bryan angle work now and even 5 years ago? Because Kane cooled off as far as being a serious monster heel character goes. In 1997 and 98, that character was a very serious top-level heel, and he was a monster. He was the big red machine. He was scary. Doing comedy with him would have been death during that period. Maybe by 2002, he was starting to get a little soft and Kane was speaking, and I remember that promo he did with Hollywood Hogan and The Rock, which was very funny. That was a hilarious segment, but his character was becoming more of a comedy act and less of a monster. 2003, it all turned around when he got unmasked and then went on that rampage. So if there was ever a period where maybe that type of storyline with Kane and Daniel Bryan could have worked in history during the early period of Kane, probably 2002, but only 2002. Got this one here from the Wizard of NoDQ, Stephen Osborne. Hey Aaron, after going back and watching old Raws from 97, I'm really starting to enjoy Vince McMahon on commentary. Do you think we could ever see him back behind the table? If so, who would you pair him with? I think you enjoyed Vince on commentary, and people like myself enjoyed him back in the day, because Vince knows what Vince wants. When we hear the announcers out there today, they're basically told what to say by Vince. Vince is in their ear all the time, and Vince is giving them direction. Vince knows what he wants to be made public. He knows what point he wants to get across to the audience. And that's why Vince does a good job on commentary. Today, I think he's just too old. I think Vince, as bright as he probably still is, he's old. He's in his 70s. I think he would be off a little bit if he actually came back and did commentary again. He hasn't done it in years. I think maybe as a one-off, it could be a fun moment, just like what he did with Jesse Ventura. But keep in mind, that was almost a decade ago. I know that's hard to fathom, but that commentary guest host spot with Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon, that was 9 years ago. So yeah, I don't think it would really work today unless you wanted to do something for the laughs, just have Vince come out there for one segment, but I don't think it would work for him at his age doing it full time. Got this one here from Liam. Hey Aaron, with it being extremely possible that Big Show will never wrestle again, do you think he'll be perfect in a GM role? I like the idea of us having a GM of either Raw, SmackDown, or even NXT that knocks out his troublemakers with one punch. Your thoughts? Not a fan of it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, his size. If the GM is more intimidating than the wrestlers, how does that get the wrestlers over? It's all about suspension of disbelief, and you want a GM that can enforce the rules, but at the same time, you might have the wrestlers intimidate him. Nobody can intimidate the Big Show. So I'm not really a fan of that, and I'm not really a fan of Big Show being an authority figure when he's much bigger than the actual talents. It just takes away from that larger-than-life feeling that you get watching the WWE superstars when the guy who's running things is bigger and more intimidating looking than them. The other thing is what you mentioned, Big Show punching out people. Again, does it really get those guys over if they're getting beat up by the retired general manager? I think it would make those guys look really weak if that happened to them. So as much as I love the Big Show and I think WWE should find something for him to do, I think he is definitely an asset to the company. I don't think him being a GM is a good idea personally. Got this one here from Garrett Mills. Do you see the WWE 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsemen, or horsewomen, I should say, of MMA happening within the next 2 years? You might want to space out your words here a little bit so I don't mess up, but thank you for the question. I did talk about this on the NoDQ review. Make sure you guys check it out if you have not already. I think we will see it at some point. It's just a matter of timing. I think it's too much of a marketable match to not do. You know, it's just a natural Survivor Series main event. The 4 horsewomen of WWE versus the 4 horsewomen of MMA. Seems to me like a natural match to do at Survivor Series. Will it happen this year? Will it happen next year? Who knows? But whenever it's done, and I think there's a good chance it will happen, I think you have to make sure everybody is built up strongly. The WWE women need to be built up strongly. Ronda and her crew need to be built up strongly. And if you can do that, you can have credibility on both sides, then yeah, I would say 100% do it. And I think it's a good match for Ronda Rousey, just something different for her. You know, she did a tag match, she's doing singles matches, but at some point, why not put her in a Survivor Series match? And if you're going to do that, makes sense to team her up with her MMA buddies. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you all very much for watching and checking out the video today. If you enjoyed it, please share it on social media, tell a friend, and I will see you guys next time.